What's up guys, my name is Ace, and with Blackout, there's one aspect that I haven't really seen covered by anyone and I haven't seen any information about online. This is consumables. And consumables, for those of you guys that aren't aware, are essentially perks that you pick up, but they last for a limited amount of time. You can pick them up and keep them in your inventory and decide when you want to activate them, and then after you activate them, they will count down and they'll eventually run out for you. Today, we're going to be going over the full list of all the consumables that we have access to, at least in the beta build of the game. They may end up adding more in the future, and they may also end up adjusting some of these a little bit. But I'm going to be going through the whole list, telling you exactly what each one does, and then at the end of the video, I'm going to be ranking these so you know which ones to avoid, which ones are kind of okay, and which ones you want to be actively searching for. So first up, keeping in mind this is in no particular order, we have Skulker, and Skulker allows you to move faster while crouched and prone. In my opinion, the best benefit for this is if you're approaching a house or something and you think there's an enemy in there, or you know there's an enemy in there. It's really good for crouch walking, and crouch walking keeps it so your footsteps are a lot quieter than if you were sprinting in or just walking in standing up. So this allows you to crouch walk into that building quietly while also maintaining that speed. Aside from that, not really the most useful thing, but I also wanted to point out as we go through this, we have the use time as well as duration. The use time is the amount of time it takes to activate that consumable, so in this case, it's 3 seconds. And keep in mind, one little tip I have for you guys, you can activate this while on the move. So if you use your quick equip menu, which I did a video on yesterday telling you guys exactly how to use that, even while you're at a full sprint, you can be activating your consumables. Skulker takes 3 seconds to activate, and then we have our duration, which is pretty self-explanatory. This is how long it lasts after you activate it. This is 180 seconds, or 3 minutes for Skulker. Next up on the list, we have Reinforced, and with Reinforced, this reduces damage from explosions and fire, and it will also increase your resistance to flashbang, concussion, and razor wire. So it's basically like flak jacket and tac mask combined. This one also has a use time of 3 seconds, but its duration is longer than the previous one. This one is 240 seconds or 4 minutes, which is quite a long time. Now, in its current state, keeping in mind this is just during the beta right now, I'm not seeing a whole lot of people using equipment, which is a big mistake on their end because equipment is very powerful in Blackout. So as it is right now, I don't see this being that important, but as time goes on and as people learn the menus and as people realize how powerful equipment can be, I feel like Reinforced will become a lot more useful, especially towards the end game. Moving on to the next one, we have Medic, and with Medic, you heal faster and revive teammates faster if you're in duos or quads. Also, healing items will restore more health, which is awesome, and when you revive a downed ally in duos or quads, they come back with more health than they would have had if you revive them without this Medic active. With this, we have a use time of just 2 seconds, and the duration is 240 seconds, or 4 minutes. This is that type of consumable that's just good all around. It's the type of one that you can have active at any stage in the game, and it's most likely going to help you at some point. It's got more benefits if you're playing duos or quads, but even as a solo player, it's amazing to be able to heal yourself faster and also get more out of each piece of healing equipment that you use because it will restore more health for you. This brings us to the next one, which is Brawler. Now with Brawler, you get increased melee damage, and you also gain 50 health every time you successfully hit a melee attack. Now this one has the fastest use time at only 1 second, and it will last for 240 seconds or 4 minutes. But generally, this is only going to be useful at super early game stages, like when you first land. If you happen to land on top of Brawler, sure, pick it up, activate it, it might come into use at some point. Once you get into that mid to late game, you usually won't be able to close the distance on somebody to get a successful melee attack, and therefore, in my opinion, it's completely useless beyond that early game. Moving on to Outlander, this one reduces the amount of damage you take from the collapse or the storm of this game, and it increases your movement speed when you're outside of the circle, so when you are in the collapse, you'll be able to move faster. This one takes 2 seconds to activate and will last for a total of 3 minutes or 180 seconds. Outlander is great if you land in an area that's really far outside of the circle. I will actively keep an eye out for Outlander. But generally, if I'm in the circle, it's not going to be worth it unless I'm playing Fast Collapse, which is a limited time mode, or it looks like it's going to be limited time, and we'll see it come back every once in a while throughout the life cycle of the game. Outlander is extremely valuable in Fast Collapse, because that collapse is moving much, much faster, and you're bound to get caught up in it at some point, so Outlander is going to help quite a bit in those situations. Moving on to Paranoia, with Paranoia you receive an audible alert when an enemy is targeting you while aiming down sight. So this only works if the enemy's aiming down sight, but this is excellent if you have a sniper or just anybody really eyeing you up from a distance. This lets you know that you're being watched, and if you're standing too still, that can give you the alert you need to get moving so they don't hit that first shot on you. With this one, the use time is 2 seconds, and it has a duration of 240 seconds. In my mind, Paranoia is best used in the mid to late stages of a game. This brings us to the next one, which is Dead Silence, and Dead Silence allows you to move quietly and make less noise when opening stashes. With this one, once again, we get a use time of 2 seconds and a duration of 240 seconds. Dead Silence is very useful in this game. Footstep sounds are quite loud, and it's really easy to hear people coming, and Dead Silence will allow you to sneak up on people a whole lot more effectively. The nice thing about this one is, at least in my opinion, it's good at any stage of the game, although I tend to like to save it towards the end game because it can be quite powerful there, but it does depend on the area that you're in as well. Definitely in urban areas, you want to have that activated, whereas if you're out in the open and people are really spread out, Dead Silence probably isn't going to do a whole lot to help you. As for the next one, this one is Looter, and Looter reveals enemy stashes and loot items. So with this, you can actually see loot through walls. You'll see a little bit of an outline of the loot through walls. It takes 3 seconds to use, which is the longest use time out of all the consumables so far, and the duration is just 120 seconds or 2 minutes. Looter is absolutely most effective in early game. I don't even bother picking this up for later game, but when you're in early game situations, it's awesome to help you get your perfect loadout ready to go as fast as possible so you can get into the fight. After Looter, we have Awareness, and with Awareness, enemy footsteps will be louder. This one has a use time of 2 seconds with a duration of just 2 minutes or 120 seconds. This one can be really helpful. Like I said earlier, footstep sounds are already pretty loud, but Awareness makes them a little bit louder. Again, just like with Dead Silence, this is best used in urban environments where enemies are more likely to be a bit more close quarters. But having said that, even when you're in an open field, if somebody's pushing you, you'll be able to hear them from a further distance away. This brings us to Squad Link, which isn't available in solos. You won't see this in solos, or you shouldn't be seeing it in solos at least. Only available in duos and quads, and with this one, you can see your teammates through walls. The use time is 2 seconds, and the duration is 2 minutes. Honestly, not really all that useful. It does give you a little bit more information a little bit faster, but it's not like it's that hard to find out where your teammates are anyways by using the minimap and seeing their name tag above their head. So generally not that great, but it might help you in a couple situations. Next up, we have Consumer, which reduces the amount of time it takes to use your healing items as well as consumable items by 50%. This one has an extremely fast use time of just 1 second, and it will last for 300 seconds. This can definitely come in handy if you get into those high pressure situations where you take some shots, you get around cover, and you just want to heal as fast as possible. This will help you get your gun up faster because you'll just complete that healing time 50% faster. And I would say it's one of those consumables where I tend to pick it up, activate it immediately, and if it helps me, great. If not, no big deal. This brings us to the next one, which is Iron Lungs. And with Iron Lungs, it increases the steady time on sniper and tactical rifles when you're holding your breath. So you hold your breath to eliminate that idle sway so you have a nice steady shot. This will significantly increase that time that you can hold your breath for. And it also allows you to hold your breath longer underwater. The use time on this is 2 seconds, and the duration, once again, is very long at 300 seconds or 5 minutes. Personally, I tend to avoid this. First off, if you don't have a sniper rifle, then it doesn't really matter as far as holding your breath to steady your gun. And second, even if I do have a sniper rifle, I don't tend to stay still that long. I don't like to stand still a super long time holding my breath posted up on somebody, because that just leaves me open to somebody else picking me off. As for holding your breath underwater, well, it is kind of cool that you can completely cross the river no problem without having to surface at all. I don't find I'm doing that very often, maybe like 1 to 2 times per match, that's about it, and therefore generally I just leave Iron Lungs on the ground. Next up, we have Mobility, which has a ton of great characteristics. First up, it allows you to move and swap weapons faster, and that increase to your movement speed seems to be like lightweight from the past, so about a 7% increase to your movement speed, which is noticeable, but it's not like you're extremely fast. Swapping weapons faster in this game is also excellent. In addition to that, one of the best parts of this perk and the most overlooked part of this consumable is you take no fall damage when mobility is active. So if you're in an area that's kind of high up but not high enough to wingsuit off of, you can comfortably jump off of there without taking any fall damage whatsoever. And in addition to that, you can fire weapons and use equipment while sprinting, and you move faster while reloading, which are all great perks as well. The use time is among the fastest in the consumable category at just 1 second, and the duration time is among the longest in the consumable category at 300 seconds or 5 minutes. This perk is awesome to have activated whenever possible. If you find it, activate it. It's very versatile. It's great in so many situations. Mobility is definitely one to keep an eye out for. So finally, out of the regular consumables, we have Engineer. Now with Engineer, this reveals nearby vehicles as well as nearby enemy equipment. It has a use time of 2 seconds and a duration of 240 seconds. This one is super situational. As far as finding vehicles, if you're really stranded somewhere, this could help you find an ATV or a helicopter, something to get you into the circle a little bit faster. As far as spotting enemies on vehicles, you're probably going to hear them long before you ever see them with Engineer. And then when it comes to equipment, like I said earlier, I'm not seeing a whole lot of people utilize equipment, especially placeable equipment, which is what this is used for. And therefore, it's just super situational, and I think most of the time that you activate this, it's probably not going to do anything for you, but who knows, there might be the odd situation where it does help you out. And finally, this brings us to the last consumable that we have access to in the beta, and this isn't like the other consumables, this is the Recon car. Now, the Recon car, you can pick that up, and you use it like an RCXD, so you can lay down, call it in, your body will just be sitting there, so you're kind of exposed, and you can't do anything if somebody sneaks up on you. But you can drive that car around and use it for recon. Keep in mind, this doesn't explode like the RCXD, it's only used for scouting out a situation and finding enemies. And with that, that's currently the full list of consumables that we have access to in the beta. Now to make it easy for you guys, I decided to split these up into a few different categories, and this is at least how I view it. Keep in mind, this is my personal opinions based on my playstyle. You may disagree with me on some of these, and that's totally fine. Use what works for you, but I decided to split these up into 3 categories. The first category is going to be the consumables that I pretty much never touch. I just leave them on the ground if I find them, not even going to bother with them. Second category are going to be the ones that are a bit more situational, where I might consider picking them up, but it depends on the situation. And finally, we're going to have the top tier category. These are the consumables I'm actively keeping an eye out for, and I will definitely pick up if I have that inventory space available. So first up, let's start it off with my I'm not even going to bother with them category. In this category, we have Brawler, Squad Link, Iron Lungs, and Skulker. I guess I'll also throw the Recon car in there as well. I don't like using that, it just takes me out of the fight, and it's too scary to use and not really worth it in my mind. But with these ones, if I see them, generally, I'm not even going to touch them. I'll just leave them on the ground and save an inventory slot. As for the second tier, like I said, these ones are a bit more situational. I might pick them up, or I might leave them, depending on the situation. In this one, we've got Reinforced, Outlander, Paranoia, Looter, and Engineer. So this just leaves us with the final tier. This is the top tier of consumables, at least in my mind. And I'm actually going to go in order here and rank these top 5. Starting off at number 5, I'd say Consumer. Then number 4, I'm going to go with Awareness. Number 3, Medic. Number 2, Dead Silence. And the number 1 best consumable in the game, in my opinion, is Mobility. This consumable just has so much going for it. If I find Mobility, I will drop anything to pick that up. And with that, that's pretty much going to wrap it up for today's video, and I'm going to kick it off to you guys. What are your top 3 or top 5 consumables to use in Blackout? Are they the same as mine, or are there some that you disagree with and you think are more powerful or less powerful than what I feel? Let me know those thoughts in the comment section below. If you enjoyed the video, a like rating is always appreciated, and don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.
Yeah.